Hey everyone, Once Bitten here with another battle report. So I brought out my Minotaur-led Beastman army against a Dark Elf army. We rolled up totally random terrain, and so you'll see there's actually kind of more terrain on the table than is normal. And we rolled up the Blood and Glory scenario, and we mutually agreed just to treat it that if we accomplish a scenario objective, the first one to do that would get 250 victory points, but it wouldn't necessarily end the game. So jump into it. On my left, there's a Hydra, a uh, a bunch of warriors, some Coldwood Knights. They have the Banner of Murder, so it's armor piercing, and he has his Battle Standard Bearer and his general in that unit. So very, very hard hitting unit. Then he's got his crossbows, more warriors, and Blackguard. And he's got a couple of mages in there, level 2 with metal, and the level 4 with shadow. And it's possible on any of his characters that I missed out on some items. This is from memory. I know everything I say they have, and if they have more, I just don't remember, and it didn't have a big impact on the game. So, facing him on my right, I've got some Harpies, Tuskor Chariot, almost 50 Gore with full command, and they've got a level 2 Lore of Beasts in there. And he's got the Stone of Spite, so that's kind of an anti-magic item, as well as a scroll. I've got another big block of Gore in Horde formation. That's got my General and my Battle Standard Bearer in there. Then I've got my 10 Minotaurs with the Doombull. Just a whole lot of nastiness. Another Tuskor Chariot and some more Harpies. So, those two buildings in the middle of the table really made everything interesting. And normally we try not to do terrain like that, and it just kind of worked out that way, and we were both okay with it. It just kind of made for an interesting challenge, a little bit different of a game. But I think both of us were hoping they would go first. The difference is I knew that I set my guys up as far forward as possible so that I could occupy the houses, and once you're in the house, it's kind of awkward because you can't charge out of it, but I know that I didn't want his guys occupying the house. So he set his guys far enough back that he wasn't going to be able to occupy the buildings anyway. So anyway, I get the roll for first turn, so I go ahead and take the unit of Gore on the right and put them in the little hut, and my Doombull and 10 Minotaurs in the little hut on the left. And it's just funny. I mean, there's just no way those units would fit in there. It'd probably fit 5 of those guys, and I put 50 in there. But there you have it. Now, the space between the houses actually will fit a horde. It'll fit just barely, but the problem was it won't fit with an inch on either side. And I mean, had we thought about it, we probably just would have scooted the houses out before the game. So what I was kind of thinking here was to treat my general's unit as an anvil. He's got the crown of command, and so they make a pretty good anvil, especially if I can keep that battle standard bearer alive. My preference is to get the battle standard bearer out of the unit so that he can't be killed in combat, and then if I can hold his units up between those houses, I can take my time bringing my other units out and in a way that they can come into the flank and mop up everything. So that was kind of what I was thinking. My BSB has a 2-up armor save, and so I'm afraid to pull him out of the house right now because I know the Dark Elf level 2 has 3 spells from the Lore of Metal and would really pick on him. So anyway, here on the left, I did as you can see, and there's the right. So my thinking as well is I want to use my Harpies to keep the Blackguard out of action as long as possible. I don't know if that's going to be possible, but between the Harpies and that Tuskor, I really would rather the Blackguard not be involved in the fighting if I can help it. So Dark Elf turn 1, he goes ahead and charges his Hydra into the building, and he didn't explain to me what his thinking was. He knew it was a risky move. My thinking was I just need to make sure that I do enough wounds on it before he does his breath attack so that he doesn't do 2d6 on a high strength breath attack. But for the most part, I think I only get 3 models fighting, but one of those is going to be a Doombull, so I'm really not too afraid of the Hydra. Let's see, when the Hydra charged, he first had to charge my Harpies. They fled, and then they fled through my Tuskor Chariot, and it failed its panic test. So we go to Dark Elf, Elsewise in Dark Elf turn 1. You can see he really didn't do a whole lot. He just kept his battle line nice and even, actually kind of pulling, kind of a little bit farther forward with what's on my left and a little bit further back with the ones on my right. During shooting, he takes about 1/5 of this unit out of the game. And after combat, it looks like this. I think he did 2 wounds to me total, but the Hydra never got to attack. I think the 2 wounds he did were from the handlers, because my Doombull actually only put 1 wound on the Hydra, but then my other 2 guys did 4 wounds on it. So he just couldn't make it. He made a lot of regen saves against my Doombull and none against my regular rank and file. So not having to endure the Hydra and being able to kill him, get him off the board, and add an extra frenzy to my Minotaurs was very, very nice. So that was a gamble by my opponent that didn't work out. So we go to Beastman turn 2. I guess my Harpies rally. I go ahead and pull my Minotaurs out. It was really awkward what to do here. Because you have to have your back rank an inch away from the house and nothing else closer than that. And so I didn't want to get him set up to where his Spearmen and his Cold One Knights could come charging in there, but I really couldn't get away from it. I was thinking a couple different things could happen, but like they could both come into me, and if they did, I just have to hope that my Doombull can really put a hurting on the Cold One Knights before they get all their attacks. But yeah, I mean, whatever. I couldn't leave them in the house, so they pulled out. I went ahead and had to reform these guys so they'd fit between the buildings. And because I've Crown of Command, it's not a big deal. So I don't really... well, I guess that doesn't matter because I'm 5 ranks anyway, but I didn't need tons of ranks. So I could have gone 5 wide. I just kept it as wide as possible. And, again, this is my Anvil unit. So ideally, I'd like his Cold One Knights to charge this unit, and I'd like his warriors to charge my Doombull, or for his warriors to charge this unit and fail, which would be just awesome. But nevertheless, that's what it looks like there. Over here on the right, I go ahead and start my strategy of trying to keep the Blackguard out of the action by putting my Harpies up there. And he obliges with the dual charge on my Anvil unit. The problem is he made it with the warriors. And then I realized my mistake. If you look at my Doombull's unit, when I brought him out of the house, I didn't angle him enough. So what's going to happen is I can't see his units. So I can't charge on my turn. Just a really, really dumb mistake there. My Anvil unit can hang for a long time, I think. I mean, there's 50 guys there he's going to have to kill. Maybe 40 because of the shooting, but it was just really dumb. I can't believe I didn't just angle my Doombull's unit. Yeah, dumb. Over here is Warriors charge my Tuskor. This is on the right-hand side. My Tuskor Chariot flees, kind of hits the building, runs through it, and takes 2 wounds from that. The Blackguard charged my Harpies, and I went ahead and held with them because I didn't, at the time my Tuskor Chariot was still there, and I did not want them to redirect towards my Tuskor because that would have angled them towards the combat. And I'd rather just lose my Harpy unit and keep those guys as far right as possible. Let's see here in the middle, on the left, his crossbows shoot at my Minotaur. Oh no, this is the magic phase. This is the Pit of Shades, went through there. It scattered a little bit, but it ended up hitting my Doombull and I think 3 or 4 Minotaurs. And I lost 2 Minotaurs, and my Doombull luckily passed his initiative test. So, I mean, I expected to pass it, but that was still a little bit scary. So the reason I take this unit and make it so big is so that it can absorb wounds. So I don't love losing 2 models, but really it's not a big deal. And you can see the hurting that this charge put on my guys. He had the Miasma spell off, so I was down 2 on my weapon skill. But with with my rerolls, it's not a big deal. The more important thing, he took his attacks from his Battle Standard Bearer and targeted my Battle Standard Bearer. And I felt lucky that he only did 1 wound to me. So sitting on 1 wound is really, dangerous for me. My BSB has the Manbane sword, I think, but basically I did 1 wound on his BSB, so he's down an attack. I think what would have been better if he would have allocated every attack possible on my BSB, I think he would have killed him, and that would have been a big deal for me because being stubborn is one thing, but stubborn rerollable is much, much better. Um, and he had plenty of wounds otherwise to win that combat. So, I mean, hindsight's 20/20, but um, the games where I struggle are where people, if you get that charge, you put every attack on my BSB, kill him, get him out of the way. Put every attack on my Beastlord, kill him, get him out of the way. You'll still get enough wounds otherwise to win the combat. So there's advice to my competitors. The Blackguard beat up my Harpies and decided to pursue them, the one remaining one. I was very happy to see that because that actually pulls them, again, farther away from the battle line. He could have just reformed and faced the battle line, and I wasn't going to rally this Harpy anyway. So we go to Beastman turn 3. So I take my big block out of the building facing his warriors. And this is a little bit risky for me because I don't think his warriors can avoid my charge. But when I charge in there, if I don't break him on the charge, he's going to have a chance to countercharge with his Blackguard. So, but we'll see. But there's nothing else for these guys to do, so they're coming out. My Minotaurs, they passed their frenzy test. They don't have to charge, and so they just reformed so they could face down the flank, which I felt so silly. I can't believe I made that mistake when I left the building. But if my Anvil unit can just hold, and they have a decent chance of doing it, my Minotaurs are going to have a juicy, juicy flank charge, and can just, I think, just roll right down that flank. This is the far right side. My lone Harpy, of course, does not rally. My Tuscarora Chariot does, and you can see my other Harpies that rallied earlier have flown over here again to hold up the Blackguard, try to keep them out of the fight. There's that. So my Stone of Spite went off, and he had the Tome of Furion on his level 2 with metal, and that exploded and killed her. So she wasn't really a big threat at this point in the game. Lore of Metal doesn't hurt most Beastmen, but nevertheless, nice to get her off the board. And he continues to just put a walloping on my gore, but you know what? His Battle Standard Bearer was unable to kill my BSB, so I'm good with that. And we're still holding, so can't complain there. So we go to Dark Elf turn 3. He takes his level 4 out of the warrior unit that it's about to get charged by my big gore unit, and she puts her behind the crossbows. Otherwise, in the middle, not a whole lot going on. Here on the right, he reforms his Blackguard. This is what I was talking about. So I know I'm going to get to charge the warriors. If I break them, great. If I don't break them, the Blackguard could cause me trouble. But then again, I have my Harpies over here, so we'll see if they can help. During shooting, he does a number of my guys, and that is really important because if I'm trying to make his unit break, I need them not to be steadfast. And as of this moment, he's within 12 inches of his general just barely. So if he's steadfast on a 10, which is obviously huge. And I think he might even be within 12 inches of his Battle Standard Bearer. So yeah, this got real ugly. So Miasma reduced my weapon skill by 3, and then he got Occam's Mind Razor on his warrior unit. And so what I did, when it came to combat, I actually issued a challenge by my general, and he accepted with his general. Now, I've been trying to avoid his general. His general's been beating up on my gores, and that's just fine for me because he's got the Ogre Blade. I think he's strength 6, armor piercing, and it's just really dangerous. But my problem here was all of those warriors were strength 8. So by issuing a challenge with my general, I had risked his general killing me, but at least I wasn't getting attacked by all those strength 8 warriors. So it brought his general over. The warriors beat up on the gore. Everything sits as you can see it. He really didn't have much at this point that could attack my Battle Standard Bearer. And importantly, it brought his general over outside of 12 inches from his warrior unit. So that ended up being very, very huge. I can't take credit for thinking of that ahead of time, but that's how it worked out. So we go to Beastman turn 4, the turn I've been waiting for. Even though there's Occam's Mind Razor on the warriors, I'm hitting his flank, and so he only has 4 guys, maybe 5, they're going to attack me. And my Doombull's going to go first and is going to kill enough that he's only going to have maybe 2 or 3 guys attack me. And a big mistake my opponent made, what he really should have done, is he should have taken that warrior unit that had Occam's Mindraiser on it and reformed, giving the flank to my Beastlord and facing my Minotaurs. Because then he would have had a whole bunch of attacks at Strength 8. I still would have charged in, but I wouldn't have been in the flank. He would have maintained his ranks, and it just would have been a lot better. And he didn't think about it. Those things happen in games. But I come down the flank, very, very nice. This one, I'm worried about it. They're very, very likely that they're going to be steadfast. I think he's starting with 6 ranks. I'm starting with 4. So I've just got to kill a ton before, this battle's over. My Harpies fly over here, and basically I position it so his Blackguard can't charge around me, but he's in my front. And so he's got to wheel around and face totally away from my unit. If he beats my Harpies, he can reform, but that's going to buy me an extra couple rounds of combat for my Gore to take care of his warriors. And after combat, it looks like that. Yeah, the Doombull and the Minotaurs came in and just tore up those Spear Elves. And not many Minotaurs got to fight. It was my Doombull and I think one more wide, and then, of course, the supporting attacks. During the Magic phase, I got the Savage Beast of Horus off on my General. And so we're in that challenge, and my thinking is his general has a very good chance of killing my general. I was sitting on 2 wounds, but if he didn't, I had a very good chance of killing him. Both of us are relying primarily on our ward saves. So with the Savage Beast of Horus, my general had 8 attacks, re-rolling to hit, and strength 8. And with all of that, I could only do 1 wound on his general. He kills the last of my Gore unit, so that's gone. My BSB is still safe on 1 wound. Of course, the Minotaurs could not chase down the warriors. My general tried to chase down his general and couldn't do it. They popped out way over there. So he lost his BSB. He lost his unit standard. So that's nice. But nevertheless, they got away maintaining all those points. So it looks like that. Yeah, nothing happened here, but the arm fell off of my my Minotaur. So we got Dark Elf turn 4. His Blackguard charged my Harpies, and what else is he going to do? His General's unit rallies, like, of course, we knew they would. Now, if you look on the right, I forgot to mention this when the picture was there, but he didn't roll wonderfully on me. He did okay. My guys went to town on their rolls to wound and made it so he was just barely not steadfast. He was on Snake Eyes. He couldn't do it. I beat him and got a free charge to his crossbows. So that's wonderful. The warriors at the bottom rallied. Over here, the Harpies are completely destroyed, so he reforms the Blackguard. And after the combat, my Gore beat his crossbows. We get the banner, and at this point, I get the 250 victory points for the Blood and Glory scenario. So the game isn't over. We're going to keep playing it, but that's 250, and that's huge because the game seems to be just a lot closer. Like I felt I was winning it, and I am, but it's close enough. Those 250 points help. So to Beastman turn 5, the Minotaurs, of course, charge the warriors. My general gets out of the way. Here I made a huge mistake. The general, I should have marched and tried to get closer to my Gore unit because the Blackguard might charge my Minotaurs, but my Minotaurs are starting to be really frenzied. They might charge my Gore unit, so I reformed them so that they would have ranks, but there's no leadership, so they're going to be steadfast on a 7. That was just silly. I should march my general and my BSB is within 12 inches of them. Yet another mistake. The chariot with the missing arm charges into the flank here, really hoping that impact hits will do something. I think he'll make way with his general and put the last 2 wounds on this chariot and kill me before we actually go to combat. But if I could do 2 wounds on his unit, then I get points for that big Hydra unit. Yeah, there's that. You'd never want to see that if you're a Dark Elf warrior. And overall, that's what it looks like. So yeah, the warriors were mincemeat by the time that was done. Of course, I couldn't reform. I just had to overrun my D6 and stop 1 inch shy of the building. I think I roll 4 or 5 on my impact hits and end up doing only 1 wound. So he still maintains full points for this. I said Hydra unit for the Cold One Knight unit. And overall, it looks like that. I have +1 strength and toughness on my gore unit, so that if the Blackguard charged them, I think I'm more likely to withstand it and do some wounds on him. And he does. He charges in there, and I'm just kicking myself for not having my general, my BSB, closer to that unit. Yeah, so they go in. I know I'll be steadfast for 1 turn. Hope it's enough. And it's not. I fail my steadfast 7. So this is where it kind of got confusing because it was going really fast. Neither one of us realized that how late it was. We thought it was turn 5. It was actually turn 6. But I basically do a swift reform with my Minotaurs and march closer to his Blackguard. On his turn, the Blackguard tried to get away from my Minotaurs. He realized he wasn't going to be able to do it, and so he just turned to face my Minotaurs. On Beastman turn 7, I decide not to charge because on his turn he got off Occam's Mindrazor on his Blackguard. I'm like, oh, they're going to kill 3 or 4 Minotaurs when I charge in, and I think I'm going to do a ton of wounds on him, but we're going to stick around. And on his turn, I was afraid that it would just, they're going to keep maintain their rerolls, and I'm going to lose the game just by losing this unit. So what I did is I decided not to charge with my Minotaurs. That way, if he doesn't charge me, I win the game. If he does charge me, I think I have a much better chance of either winning and being done with it, or at least sticking around. Because I really think I'm going to win the combat. It's just, I just don't think I'll be able to break him. Now, what I don't love is the idea of his general charging into my flank. But what's he going to do? So, let's see, my Doombull has a wound on it, one of these Minotaurs has a wound on it, and I've got 4 frenzy markers. So, that is a lot of attacks. And on his last turn, it's Dark Elf turn 7, his general fails stupidity. he wanted to charge his general out of that unit into the flank. He failed his stupidity, but his Blackguard comes in. Again, he got Occam's Mindrazor off on him again, and he's going to do a lot of wounds. And I know I'm going to do a lot. It's just going to be bloody. But at the end of it, I mean, you can see all the Minotaurs I'm losing there. Killed him to a man. I'd have to look at that. Basically, I rolled much better than I should have. But I rolled to hit really well, and I was wounding on 2. Rolling to hit was absolutely crazy. Everybody hit, it seemed like, and just absolutely slaughtered them. They didn't break. They were eaten to a man. So it ended up being a very crushing victory for the Beastmen that got really close there at the end. So, yeah, I don't know if the men of the match were this Minotaur Doombull unit, or if it was the Harpies for keeping the Blackguard out of it for so long until these guys were nice and frenzied and I didn't have to worry about anybody else. Regardless, it was a good win for the Beastmen. Hope you enjoyed it.